Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive. But this one's a little different. This was just for you Vintage Car Chronicles listeners.
You mean from Spotify?
Yeah, exactly. Taking all that car history you love from The Daily Show and, well, going even deeper. Today, it's all Cadillac all the time.
Cadillac. Fascinating choice. I think what's really interesting about Cadillac is it's not just about the cars themselves, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's like this window into American innovation, how design changed over time. Heck, even cultural shifts.
I love that. Okay, so to get this deep dive rolling, we've got a whole stack of sources ready to go. I mean, we've got historical overviews, design breakdowns, even some Cadillac moments in pop culture.
Pop culture, huh? That should be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling a bit like what do they call him, a car detective today.
Haha. All right, detective, what's the mission then? What are we hoping to uncover in this deep dive?
The mission, I think it's to give our listeners that deep, nuanced understanding of Cadillac's journey.
Yeah, the whole story.
We're going to look at those innovations that made Cadillac famous, how their design philosophy evolves over the decades, and I think, cementing that really unique place they hold in American culture.
All right, sign me up. Let's get into it.
Okay, so Cadillac. It all begins in 1902, right there in Detroit.
Detroit, the Motor City, of course.
And I love this little detail. It's actually named after the city's founder, Antoine de la Motte Cadillac. Talk
Yeah.
about setting the bar high from day one.
Oh, absolutely. And that connection to Detroit, the automotive destiny, it's key to understanding Cadillac. But you know what really sets them apart in those early years?
I'm all ears.
That relentless focus on precision engineering and this, well, almost an obsession with standardization.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
One of the founders, Henry Leland, was all about it. Interchangeable parts, that was his thing.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting for a vintage car enthusiast like yourself.
Yeah.
1908 comes around and bam, Cadillac wins the prestigious Dewar Trophy.
The Dewar Trophy, that's a big deal.
Huge. The first American car to do so. And they win it by proving, well, just how effective those interchangeable parts were. Imagine how groundbreaking that must have been back then.
It was a masterstroke, really. They shipped 3 cars all the way to England for this competition, had them completely disassembled, all the parts mixed up, totally randomized. And then what did they do? They reassembled them using random pieces from the pile. And get this, all 3 cars ran perfectly.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, talk about confidence in your engineering.
It was a statement. Not only did they win the trophy, but it solidified their reputation for quality. They even adopted the slogan, "Standard of the World."
I've always wondered about that slogan, standard of the world. I mean, it's bold, almost audacious.
You're right. But after hearing about the Dewar Trophy, totally makes sense. It was a powerful statement, especially for a young American company at the time. And, that Dewar Trophy win, it cemented their position. Leaders in automotive engineering.
Okay, so we've got this solid engineering foundation, but Cadillac is also known for its designs, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That luxurious feel. When did that element really take off?
Well, that design evolution, I'd say it kicks into high gear in the 1920s, 1927 specifically.
Okay.
That's when Cadillac introduces the LaSalle convertible coupe. And this is a turning point, a huge GE turning point in car design.
Oh, tell me more.
It's the first American car designed with, well, a designer's eye, if you will, all thanks to Harley Earl.
Harley Earl, the legend. I mean, his influence on car design is undeniable.
He was visionary.
But it's fascinating to think before him, cars were primarily designed from a purely functional standpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly. It was all about making it work. Earl comes in and brings this artistic sensibility. He's focused on flowing lines, those elegant proportions, and, those signature chrome accents.
Oh, yeah, I love those.
And then he establishes GM's first dedicated design studio, the Art and Color section. That changes the game for Cadillac.
Speaking of game changers, what about those iconic tail fins? I mean, those are so quintessentially Cadillac, especially from like the 50s and 60s. What's the story there?
Yeah. Well, the tail fins, they've got a pretty cool origin story. You ready for this?
Hit me.
They were inspired by, get this, the twin-tail design of the Lockheed P-38 Lightning fighter plane.
Wow. Aviation-inspired design.
Exactly.
I mean, that explains why those Cadillacs always felt so powerful, so stylish. almost futuristic for their time, you know?
Absolutely. And those tail fins, oh, they really peaked in the 1959 Cadillac models. They became a symbol of the era, representing a sense of optimism, progress.
And even like a touch of space age ambition.
Totally.
And let's not forget about Cadillac's presence in pop culture, right? I mean, they've made appearances in so many iconic films, like think The Godfather or even The Matrix Reloaded. It's almost like they have a star power of their own.
It's true. They do. And it goes beyond film, too. Think
Yeah.
Elvis Presley and his pink Cadillac.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
The brand became synonymous with success, luxury, even, a bit of rebellion. It really captured the American imagination.
Okay, so we've talked about early innovations, how that design DNA evolved. But what about other technological advancements? I mean, did Cadillac continue to push the boundaries in that regard?
Oh, absolutely. They never stopped innovating. In 1912, they introduced the electric starter.
The electric starter might seem like a small thing now, but back then, that was huge.
Game changer. No more hand cranking those engines. And you know what? It was a big leap forward in making cars easier to use for everyone.
Especially for women drivers.
Especially. Suddenly, cars were more accessible. You didn't need brute strength to start them. And that helped to popularize driving amongst a wider audience. And you know what? It earned them another DeWar trophy.
Wait, another one. So that's 2 DeWar trophies. That's impressive.
It is. Innovation was in their blood. And speaking of innovation, what other kind of advancements did they pioneer? Did they make any contributions to those safety features we kind of take for granted today?
Yeah, that's a good question. What about that?
They were ahead of the curve on so many fronts. I mean, in 1928, they started using shatterproof safety glass in their cars, a huge step for passenger safety. And then in 1954, they introduced power steering, made those big Cadillacs much easier to handle.
It's amazing how many features we just think of as standard today actually originated with Cadillac.
They were pioneers. There's one more safety thing that stands out. You ready for this?
Lay it on me.
So in 1959, get this, they showed off a concept car
Oh, a concept car?
with a radar-based forward collision detection system.
Whoa, that's ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time. And it didn't make it into production models, but it shows you how forward-thinking they were.
Totally.
And then in 1963, they were early adopters of, you guessed it, front seat belts, showing their focus on safety yet again.
That's incredible. Talk about being on the cutting edge. We can't talk about Cadillac without mentioning their special connection to the American presidency. It's like almost like they're synonymous with executive transportation.
Right, like a symbol of American power and prestige.
Wow.
Cadillac has been the official presidential vehicle since the 1980s, starting with Ronald Reagan.
The Beast, as they call it. It's a Cadillac, right? Packed with all sorts of security features, technology, the whole 9 yards.
And it's interesting to see how the Beast has evolved with each administration, right? Reflecting those changing times and advancements in technology.
Totally. Each one a testament to Cadillac's ability to adapt and innovate while maintaining that sense of stately presence.
For sure.
So Cadillac, they rise to incredible heights. But, every story has its twists and turns. Did they face any challenges along the way?
Absolutely. While they had those record production years in 1928 and 1941, sales, well, they did decline in later decades. The automotive landscape was shifting.
Makes sense. Things change, tastes change.
And Cadillac, well, they needed to adapt to stay competitive. Competition, yeah, that played a role, especially from, German and Japanese automakers.
Oh, right.
They were gaining traction, in the luxury market. And then, consumer preferences were changing too.
So how did Cadillac respond to all of that? I mean, what steps did they take to stay in the game, so to speak?
They made some key moves, expanding into the SUV market. That was a big one.
The Escalade.
Yeah, the Escalade.
Right.
Introduced in 1999, became a huge success for them.
Oh, for sure.
And then they had to, rethink their design language. In the 21st century, they introduced the art and science philosophy.
Art and science, yeah. I've heard of it. But to be honest, I've always been a little fuzzy on what exactly it, entails. How would you describe it to someone who's really into those vintage cars?
Good question. Well, think about those classic Cadillacs. All those curvy ones you love from the 50s and 60s?
Yeah.
Art and science, it's a departure from that. It's all about sharp, angular lines, a more geometric, modern aesthetic. You know what I mean?
I think so.
It was a way for Cadillac to appeal to a new generation of buyers, those who were looking for something bolder, more cutting edge.
So it's like they were signaling a new era, right? Embracing a more modern look while still holding on to that essence of luxury.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture, right? Those innovations, that design philosophy, the ups, the downs. But for a vintage car enthusiast like yourself, I'm sure the specific models and stories, that's what really gets you going,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. The details, the stories, that's where the magic is.
So any particular Cadillacs or anecdotes that, stand out from your research?
Ooh, so many. Let me see. One that comes to mind is the 1938 Cadillac 60 Special.
The 60 Special. Yeah, that's a name you hear a lot in those vintage car circles.
It's a true icon of design, a real turning point for Cadillac.
What made it so revolutionary?
Well, for one thing, it was long and low with this incredibly sleek, streamlined design. And get this, they did away with the running boards that were, so common at the time.
Oh, wow.
And the roofline was so innovative. I mean, it had these thin pillars.
Okay.
So it gave it this look of a convertible, even though it had a fixed roof.
It sounds like it was way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Almost futuristic for its time.
It was.
Was there, any particular inspiration behind that design? Was Mitchell influenced by anything or anyone?
The designer, yeah, Bill Mitchell.
Yeah.
He was definitely inspired by European design trends at the time. They were all about aerodynamics and a more minimalist approach.
Oh, interesting.
But he also wanted to create something distinctly American.
Okay.
A car that was elegant, but also, functional. Something that emphasized passenger comfort and visibility.
Yeah.
And you know what? He nailed it.
He did.
The 60 Special, it set the stage for a whole new era of car design. Not just for Cadillac, but for, well, the entire industry.
It's amazing how one car can have such a lasting impact.
It's true.
You can really see its DNA in later Cadillac models, especially those flowing roof lines. Any other models that, jump out at you?
Well, we can't talk Cadillac without mentioning the Eldorado, right?
Well, of course not.
It's become synonymous with that Cadillac luxury and style.
Oh, for sure. The Eldorado is iconic.
Yeah.
But, it's gone through so many different looks over the years. Where did it all begin?
The first Eldorado, it rolled out in 1953 to celebrate Cadillac's 50th anniversary.
Oh, wow. Special occasion.
It was a limited edition convertible, and it was, well, absolutely stunning.
I bet.
Wraparound windshield, distinctive rear fender design, and it was, well, packed with luxurious features. It was the ultimate dream car of the era.
It sounds like it perfectly captured that mid-century American optimism and all that glamour.
It did.
What happened to the Eldorado after that? Did it continue to evolve?
Oh, absolutely. It went through so many transformations over the years.
Yeah.
It became a hardtop coupe, a personal luxury car, even a front-wheel drive model. But through it all, it always represented, well, the top of the line for Cadillac.
Top of the line. I like that.
Always pushing those boundaries of design and technology.
It's almost like the Eldorado has its own, personality, right? Constantly reinventing itself while staying true to that Cadillac spirit of, luxury and innovation.
You got it.
Speaking of innovation, I love those little stories, those behind-the-scenes moments that give you a deeper understanding of a company's, ethos. Any particularly juicy anecdotes from Cadillac's history that you came across?
I keep coming back to that 1908 Dewar Trophy competition.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that they were willing to, send those cars all the way to England,
Across the ocean.
have them taken apart, reassembled with random parts just to, prove a point.
It's a bold move.
It is. It really speaks volumes about, well, the confidence they had in their engineering and their commitment to precision.
Yeah, that story really stuck with me, too. It wasn't just about, winning a trophy. It was about demonstrating this level of, quality and craftsmanship. It was practically unheard of at the time.
Exactly. And it's a story that still resonates today. It's woven into, the fabric of the Cadillac brand.
For sure.
It shows that from the very beginning, they weren't afraid to, challenge the status quo, push the boundaries of what was possible in automotive engineering.
So from groundbreaking engineering to those iconic designs and, of course, those presidential connections, Cadillac has definitely left its mark on the world. What do you think is the biggest takeaway from all this? What's that legacy that Cadillac leaves behind, especially for someone who's, so passionate about vintage cars?
Cadillac's legacy, it's multifaceted, It's a story of innovation, this relentless pursuit of luxury, and a certain sense of, well, American audacity. They were never afraid to try new things, experiment with design, create cars that were both visually stunning and technologically advanced. They've had their ups and downs, sure, but they've always found a way to, reinvent themselves.
And stay relevant.
Stay relevant. Exactly. It is. It's a fascinating time, right? I mean, following the automotive world. And, it's particularly exciting to see a brand like Cadillac, with such a rich, storied past, taking on these challenges and, well, leading the charge into this whole new era.
Of electric and autonomous vehicles. It's a brave new world out there for car companies.
It is. And for a brand like Cadillac, it's even more interesting. You know, they built their reputation on those powerful gas engines and a very specific driving experience.
Yeah. You're talking about the shift toward electric vehicles and all that autonomous driving stuff, right? Those are, I mean, they're huge disruptors for the whole industry, really.
Exactly. I mean, the very definition of a car, what we expect from it, how we interact with it, it's all evolving so rapidly. For a brand that's synonymous with, American luxury and that certain level of, well, performance, it presents some unique challenges.
Also some really exciting opportunities, right?
Right. So the question is Cadillac embracing this whole electric revolution?
What's their approach to this new landscape? Are they dipping their toes in or are they diving headfirst?
They're not shying away from it, that's for sure. In fact, I think they're positioning themselves as, well, leaders in electric luxury. They've already launched the Lyric.
A lyric.
Yeah, it's an all-electric SUV. And they've announced, plans for a whole bunch more electric models in the coming years.
The lyric has been getting a lot of buzz. What makes it so special? What are those key features that are turning heads, in the car world?
Well, it wouldn't be a Cadillac without that stunning design, would it?
Of course not.
And the Lyric, it definitely delivers on that front. But it also boasts, well, an impressive range. It's got the latest technology, all the stuff you'd expect in a luxury EV, and that interior.
What about it?
Oh, it's designed to compete with the best of the best. I mean, they're really aiming high here, trying to set a new standard for electric luxury.
It sounds like Cadillac is serious about electrifying their lineup. No doubt about it. But what about autonomous driving? Where do they stand on that? Are they incorporating any of that, self-driving stuff into their vehicles?
They are. Super Cruise, their hands-free driving system.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
That's a major part of their strategy moving forward. They're always refining it, expanding those capabilities.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it'll probably be standard on most Cadillac models pretty soon.
So they're trying to, strike that balance,
Yeah.
right? Embracing those new technologies while staying true to those core values. Luxury, performance, innovation, all those things that have always defined the brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think they can pull it off? I mean, successfully navigate this transition, this fundamental shift in the whole automotive industry?
I think they have a real shot. They've got a strong brand identity, a loyal customer base, and, well, as we've been talking about, a long history of innovation. They're not afraid to adapt, to evolve.
Right.
And they're definitely putting their money where their mouth is, investing in the future, in those technologies that are shaping the future of how we get around.
It all comes down to how they do it, how they integrate these new technologies without, losing that distinct Cadillac character.
That's the key, isn't it? Well, it's been an absolute pleasure exploring the world of Cadillac with you, hearing those insights and stories. I mean, it's the kind of stuff that, well, only a true car enthusiast could share.
The pleasure was all mine. It's been a fun ride.
And to all you Vintage Car Chronicles fans out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you enjoyed the ride.
We hope you've enjoyed this journey, through Cadillac's remarkable history, from those humble beginnings in Detroit to their current position at the forefront of, well, electric luxury. And hey, don't forget to check back for a new deep dive on a different topic, all curated around your love for vintage cars every single day.